Observe. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation itself, but your thoughts about it. You have a voice in your head, but you don't notice it, because you believe that this voice is who you are. No one notices, because almost all of us suffer from this, and so we consider it normal. While you are thinking, you believe that it is you who is doing the thinking. We believe in this voice and identify with it. And so, we are always thinking. Right now, that voice in your head is probably saying something like, "I don't have a voice in my head." This incessant mental noise keeps us from finding the area of inner serenity. And so, we can't discover who we truly are. This causes the mind to create a false self, which casts a shadow of fear and suffering over us. The compulsive thinker, in other words, almost everyone, lives in a world filled with conflicts and problems. Because of so much imbalance, thinking has become a disease. If used correctly, the mind is a magnificent tool. However, when we use it the wrong way, it becomes destructive. For example, there is nothing wrong with the division and multiplication of cells in the human body. But when this process happens without taking the whole organism into account, the cells proliferate and we have disease. To be even more precise, it's not you who uses your mind the wrong way. In general, you simply don't use the mind. It's the mind that uses you. And that is the disease. You believe you are your mind. You believe you are your thoughts. That's the delusion. The tool has taken over you. Think about it. Can you get rid of your mind whenever you want? Have you ever found the button that turns it off? So, it's because the mind is using you. The thing is, we're so identified with it that we don't even realize we're its slaves. You are not your mind. If someone goes to the doctor and says, "I hear a voice inside my head," they'll probably be sent to a psychiatrist. One way or another, almost everyone hears a voice or several voices in their head all the time. These are the involuntary thought processes, which we believe we can't stop, showing up as continuous monologues or dialogues. The voice comments, speculates, judges, compares, excuses, likes, dislikes, and so on. The voice doesn't have to be relevant to what's happening at the moment, since it might be reliving the recent or distant past, or rehearsing, or imagining possible future situations. Sometimes, this soundtrack is accompanied by mental images or movies. And so, we see and judge the present through the eyes of the past and end up creating a completely distorted picture. It's not uncommon for this voice to become our own worst enemy. Many people live with a torturer in their heads who attacks and punishes them non-stop, draining their life energy. This is the cause of much anguish and unhappiness, as well as illness. The good news is that we can free ourselves from our minds. That is the only true liberation. Take the first step right now. Start paying attention to what the voice says, especially to repetitive patterns of thought. Those old soundtracks you've been listening to in your head for years. Freedom begins when we realize that we are not the dominating entity, the thinker. Knowing this allows us to observe the entity. Be the observer of your thoughts. You are beneath thinking. You are the stillness beneath the mental noise. You are consciousness disguised as a person. The moment we start observing the thinker, we activate a higher level of consciousness. We then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, and that thought is just a small aspect of intelligence. We also realize that all truly important things, like beauty, love, creativity, joy, and inner peace, arise from a place beyond the mind. That's when we start to wake up. Just observe. Listen to the voice inside your head. Be present there as a witness. Be impartial as you listen to that voice. Don't judge anything. Don't judge or condemn what you hear, because doing so would mean that the same voice just came back in through the back door. You'll soon realize, there's the voice, and here I am, listening to it, observing it. Feeling your own presence is not a thought. It's something that arises from a place beyond the mind. So, when you hear a thought, it means you are aware not only of the thought, but also of yourself as a witness to the thought. This happens because a new dimension of consciousness has just emerged. When you listen to the thought, you feel a conscious presence, which is your deeper inner self behind the thought. The thought then loses the power it has over you and quickly drifts away. Because the mind is no longer receiving the energy generated by your identification with it. This is the beginning of the end of involuntary and compulsive thinking. When the thought moves away, we notice a break in the mental flow, a space of empty mind. At first, these spaces are short, maybe just a few seconds, but gradually they become longer. When these spaces occur, we feel a certain serenity and inner peace. This is the beginning of the natural state of feeling at one with being, which is usually covered up by the mind. This is not a selfish state, but a state of generosity. With practice, the feeling of peace and serenity will intensify. In fact, this intensity has no end. You will feel a subtle emanation of joy welling up from within, which is the joy of being. In this state of inner connection, we become very alert. We are fully present. As we go deeper into this area of empty mind, we begin to perceive the state of pure consciousness. In this state, we feel our own presence with such intensity and joy that thoughts, emotions, our body, the outside world, everything becomes insignificant compared to it. Another possible method, besides observing the thinker, is to create a space in the flow of the mind by directing the focus of our attention completely to the now. Becoming aware of this present moment, here and now. By doing this, we shift our awareness away from mental activity and create a space of empty mind, where we become extremely alert and conscious. This is the essence of meditation. In daily life, it's possible to put this into practice by giving full attention to any routine activity, which is usually seen as just a means to an end, so that it becomes an end in itself. For example, every time you go up or down stairs at home or at work, pay close attention to each step, every movement, even your breathing. Or when you wash your hands, pay attention to all the sensations brought on by this activity, like the sound, the feel of the water, the movement of your hands, the smell of the soap, and so on. Or, when you get into your car, pause for a few seconds after closing the door and notice the flow of your breathing. Be fully present. Become aware of a quiet, yet powerful sense of presence. Every time we create a space in the flow of thought, the light of awareness grows stronger. To measure your success with this practice, check the level of peace within you. In this way, little by little, we lose our identification with the mind and start to associate ourselves with the silence, with the now. By continuing this practice of presence and observing your thoughts, one day you might find yourself smiling at the voice inside your head, just as you would smile at a child's mischief. This means you are no longer taking what goes on in your mind so seriously, because your inner self no longer depends on it. In short, our biggest obstacle is that we identify ourselves as the mind. This is the most important step on the path toward enlightenment. It is learning to dissociate ourselves from our minds. And this change is available and within reach for everyone. Here and now.